There is a moment. It doesn't arrive with noise, no breakdown, no crisis, no obvious sign that anything is wrong. It arrives quietly. Maybe you're driving to work. Maybe you're at a dinner table surrounded by people who love you. Maybe you're just looking in the mirror on an ordinary Tuesday morning, and something inside you pauses and asks a question you've never let yourself ask before. Whose life is this? Not in anger, not in rebellion, just genuinely, quietly. Whose life is this? Long before you had the ability to choose, choices were already being made for you. Before you could speak, you were being shaped by the fears of your parents, by the expectations of your culture, by the unspoken rules of the family you were born into. Nobody sat you down and said, "Here's the life you will live." It happened quietly. And the things that were praised, the things that were punished, the things that were never spoken about at all. You learned very early what kind of person got love in your house. Maybe it was the achiever. Maybe it was the caretaker. Maybe it was the invisible one, the one who disappeared just enough to avoid the chaos. You didn't choose that role. You survived into it. And then you grew up. The home became a memory. The pressure faded, but the role stayed. Because by then, it wasn't a role anymore. It was you. It spoke in your voice. It wore your face. It made your decisions. Carl Jung called this the persona, the mask we build to navigate the world, to be acceptable, to be loved, to be safe. Jung said the persona is not evil. It is necessary. The danger is when we forget we're wearing it, when the mask becomes the face, when the borrowed life feels like the only life we have ever known. The moment it cracks is different for everyone. For some, it comes in their 30s. They have everything they were supposed to want: the career, the stability, the relationship, and they are hollow, not ungrateful, not depressed exactly, just hollow, like someone built the house perfectly, but forgot to put anyone inside it. For some, it comes in a crisis, a divorce, a loss, a failure so total that the old structure collapses, and in the rubble, they see something they never expected. Sartre said this is the deepest form of self-deception a human being is capable of. Not lying to others, lying to yourself about the fact that you are free, themselves, for the first time, without the performance, without the role, raw, uncertain, alive. Sartre had a name for the life lived by other people's definitions. He called it bad faith. Living in bad faith means pretending. You have no choice. When you do, surrendering your freedom to the comfort of a role, telling yourself, this is just who I am. I had no other option. Not lying to others, lying to yourself about the fact that you are free, because freedom is terrifying. Real freedom means you cannot blame your parents forever. You cannot blame your circumstances forever. At some point, the life in front of you is yours to choose, and that is not liberation. Not at first. At first, it is the most frightening thing you have ever faced. Here's what nobody tells you about living someone else's life. It is exhausting. Not the kind of exhaustion sleep fixes, the kind that lives behind your eyes, that follows you into weekends, that sits quietly in the middle of celebrations, that should feel like joy, but somehow don't, because maintaining a self you didn't build takes everything you have. Krishnamurti spent his entire life pointing at this. He said, "We are not educated to be ourselves. We are educated to fit, to function, to perform our role in the machinery without ever questioning whether it is taking us anywhere we actually want to go." And when you finally begin moving towards something real, the people around you will feel it, and they will not always celebrate it. Sometimes they will call it a phase. Sometimes they will call it selfishness. Sometimes they will say nothing, but you will feel the distance growing between who you are becoming and who they needed you to stay. This is the cost. It is real, worth knowing before you walk through the door. So what do you find on the other side? Jung said you find the self, not the ego, not the persona, not the role, the thing that was there before the world got its hands on you. He called this journey individuation, the slow, painful, necessary process of becoming who you actually are. The question stops being, "How do I succeed?" and becomes, "What is this life actually for?" And that question is not a crisis. Even though it feels like one, it is an arrival. You cannot undo the years of living a borrowed life. But here's what you can do. You can stop, not dramatically, not by burning everything down. Just stop and ask, what do I actually value when no one is watching? When there is no approval to earn? When the performance is finally over? Start there, not with a plan, just with one quiet, honest truth about who you actually are. That is enough. That is where every real life begins. Sartre said we are condemned to be free. He meant it as a burden, but I think it is something else. It is the only door that opens from the inside. It has always been yours. Thanks for watching.